207 million euros. That's how much Romania just paid for God's new house. It is called the People's Salvation Cathedral. A new name so dramatic that it sounds like a DLC for Christianity. It took over a decade to build, stands taller than any other Orthodox church in the world, and conveniently sits right behind the parliament. Apparently, divine proximity helps with policy decisions. For some, it's a masterpiece, a symbol of faith, identity, and national unity. For others, it's a 127-meter-tall guilt trip built with taxpayers' money. And today, we're asking the question that everybody's probably whispering. Why is this cathedral so controversial? And what does it say about the country that built it? This idea didn't appear overnight. It's been floating around since 1884, when Romania decided it needed a national cathedral to represent unity and freedom. Fast forward a century, and after several false starts, the project finally took off in 2010. By 2025, it's complete. It has gold, marble, icons, and mosaics that could blind the Pope himself. You need to have gold-plated buildings and gold-weighted priests, so when you shine your robes, you blind even God himself. The price tag of this whole shenanigan is 270 million euros, or as a Romanian Twitter puts it, about 270 million more than we have for cancer treatment. Officially, it's a gift for the nation. Unofficially, it's a gift that the nation paid for. Twice! Because according to multiple reports, more than 80% of that money came from state and local budgets. That's right. The church got government funding so God could get a better postcode. Priest Adrian Agaci said, "What hadn't been possible before in 126 years was achieved in the last 15. And sure, at this price tag you can achieve quite a lot, I might say. Hospitals, road, schools, just to name a few, or apparently an 8-ton cross. Yay! Let's be fair. Building a cathedral isn't evil. Romania, after all, is 85% Orthodox. This isn't your religion, it's their culture, heritage, and belonging. Some people queued for hours to visit.
În interiorul catedralei s-au numărat foști președinți și premieri ai României, dar și șefa de stat a Republicii Moldova, Maia Sandu, și numeroși miniștri.
One woman told reporters Romania deserves it. And she's right. It's beautiful. It's historic. It's, blimey, that's a lot of gold. But here's the catch. You can't talk about faith without talking about context. Because while the cathedral was climbing to the clouds, Romania's healthcare budget was still crawling under the table. Public hospitals are underfunded, doctors that are leaving the country, patients that bring their own medication to the ward. You go to the hospital with one disease, you leave with 7, and those are a couple to name a few. Meanwhile, this cathedral has underfloor heating, imported marble, and enough space to sit 5,000 souls comfortably, assuming they're not waiting in the ER queue. I would say the national motto that probably became, we can't afford clean water in some villages, but at least God has central heating, since he needs to warm up there for God knows. Anyway, of course, where there's money, there's politics. Romania's political class has treated this cathedral like a VIP photo booth for divine approval. Every prime minister, every mayor, every official shows up with a smile. They cross themselves and casually remind the audience who signed the funding papers. It's fate, but with a campaign logo underneath. The church and the state are now so intertwined, it's hard to tell who's sponsoring whom. And it's not the first time. This is the same country where in 2015 people protested with the phrase, "We want hospitals, not cathedrals." 10 years later, they got the cathedral. Still waiting on the hospital though, so who knows. So maybe this building isn't just your average church. Maybe it's a political marketing campaign with an incense. I don't know. Maybe? Huh? If you stand on the cathedral's balcony and look down, you'll see another monument, the Palace of the Parliament. Ceausescu built that one. Now the church built this one. Two different eras, but the same obsession with bigger, which equals better. It's almost poetic-like. Dictatorship in the front, divinity in the back. Bucharest's very own mallet of power. Both were built with public funds. Both were justified as symbols of pride. Both required a lot of sacrifices, not just financial, but also moral. And both leave you wondering whether Romania builds monuments for the people or just monuments about the people. Also, the Orthodox Church insists the cathedral will outlive its critics. And no wonder, it's an eternal monument, a beacon of national spirit. And that's probably true. God doesn't trust. Simple, isn't it? But critics see something else. A 270 million investment on misplaced priorities. Because faith doesn't need to be glided to be genuine. And national pride doesn't require a 24-carat symbolism, especially when the average pension barely covers rent. Romania's GDP per capita sits below the EU average. Teachers are striking, hospitals are crumbling. But not to worry. The bells at the cathedral can be heard for miles. And I'm not here to mock faith. I'm not mocking faith. It's about the contrast. It's about a country where money somehow always exists for image projects, but not for infrastructure. Where the government can't find funds for ventilators, but can wire millions for a marble floor that literally glows under sunlight. So, to summarize, if the People's Salvation Cathedral isn't just your average church, it's probably a mirror, and it's one that reflects both Romania's faith and its contradictions. For a believer, maybe this might be a proof that God hasn't forgotten them. For everybody else, though, it's proof that the government definitely has. It's beautiful, yes, don't get me wrong, but beauty doesn't disinfect hospital walls or raises your wages. And maybe that's the real controversy here. Not that it exists, but that it exists first. In a country praying for hospitals, someone decided to build a cathedral instead, and in the end, that says more about salvation than any sermon ever could. So, don't forget your needles when you go to ER.